Waterless World. Rusted dreams. Man and machine survive in wreckage. The sun rose like a blade of molten copper over the horizon, slashing across the endless plains of rust. What was once ocean had long ago boiled into vapor, leaving behind a desert of corroded ship hulls, broken oil rigs, and skeletal cities leaning against each other like drunkards in the dust. The world had no water anymore. None that was clean. None that could be found without digging deeper than most dared. Humanity was reduced to scraps of its former greatness, scattered bands scavenging among the carcass of the old world. But Elias Rowan still walked. He trudged across the desert with cracked lips and sunburnt skin, his long coat shredded by years of storms. At his side, lumber machine taller than 3 men stacked atop one another, its joints squeaking, its torso caked in reddish corrosion. Its name, or at least the one Elias had given it, was Haven. The machine carried no weapon, though its arms could crush a man like brittle bone. Its left eye flickered with pale blue light, while its right socket was dark, a hollow cavity from a battle it no longer remembered. Water ration. For percent, Haven droned, voice rasping through damaged speakers. Elias exhaled, tasting copper dust on his tongue. Don't remind me. Just keep us moving toward the towers. The towers. He had seen them days ago in the haze, black silhouettes against the pale sky. Ancient desalinization rigs, or so he hoped. If even one still held a working core, maybe, just maybe, there would be drinkable water. They had survived together for nearly 7 years. Elias had been 24 when he first found Haven, half buried in the rust dunes, dormant but intact. He remembered hammering against its chest plate with desperate fists, begging for it to wake, because he'd been dying alone, and anything was better than silence. The machine had powered back on, whirring like a storm, and it followed him ever since. Some called Elias mad, a man who trusted a relic of war. But Haven was no ordinary warbot. Its directives had eroded over centuries of decay, leaving behind something strange, something almost like loyalty. And loyalty was a rare thing in a waterless world. The wreckage of civilization. They reached the first tower by midday. The structure rose nearly 200 feet, all jagged iron and dangling pipes. A ladder clung to its side, though half the rungs had rusted away. Scan, Elias whispered. His throat burned. Haven single-eye pulsed. Core integrity, 22%. System functional. Probability of stored water, minimal but non-zero. That's better than nothing. Elias squinted up the ladder. Think you can boost me? The machine bent down, cupping both hands together. Elias climbed into them, his boots crunching against corroded metal palms. With a groan of gears, Haven lifted him high enough to reach the first rung. The climb was torture. Each movement peeled skin from his raw hands. By the time he reached the top, his vision blurred with heat. He hauled himself onto a grated platform and staggered toward the core chamber. Inside, it was dark and stinking of mildew. Pipes hummed faintly, and a glass cylinder pulsed with pale light. Elias nearly fell to his knees. The desal core still ran. He brushed dust from a valve, twisted it with shaking fingers, and a spurt of brown water gushed out, splattering his coat. He caught what little he could in a cracked canteen. He drank. The taste was foul, metallic, and bitter, but it was water, real water. Haven! Elias shouted down. It's working. From below came the slow, grinding reply. Affirmative. Uploading gratitude protocol. That made Elias laugh, a raw sound that turned into a cough. Gratitude protocol. Leave it to Haven to make even kindness sound mechanical. But before he could lower the canteen, something moved in the shadows. A figure stepped from the broken pipework. A human, thin as bone, eyes gleaming with feverish hunger. In his hands, he carried a jagged scrap of rebar. Give it, the stranger hissed. His voice was cracked like dry clay. The water, give to me. Elias backed away, raising the canteen. There's enough for both of us. The stranger lunged, rust and blood. The fight was brief, desperate. Elias swung the canteen like a weapon, striking the man's temple. The rebar scraped his arm, cutting a shallow groove. Blood welled, dark against his dusty skin. Before the stranger could recover, a tremor shook the tower. Haven's massive frame slammed against the metal below, shaking the ladder. The machine climbed, impossibly heavy, each handhold ripping more of the structure apart. The stranger saw it, saw the looming warbot with glowing eye, and froze in terror. You travel with that? Elias held his bleeding arm. He's with me. Leave now and you'll live. But desperation was stronger than fear. The stranger snarled and rushed again. This time, Haven's arm reached over the platform railing, caught the man mid-sprint, and lifted him screaming into the air. Terminate. Haven asked, voice flat. Elias swallowed hard. The man thrashed helplessly in the machine's grip. His eyes weren't evil, just thirsty, broken, like so many others in this wasteland. No, Elias said quietly. Don't kill him. Haven paused. Then it set the man back on the platform. The stranger scrambled away, down the ladder, vanishing into the dust without looking back. Mercy executed. Haven reported. Elias sank to his knees, clutching the canteen. Not mercy, he whispered. Just survival. We're all too thirsty to be enemies forever. The long march. For weeks, Elias and Haven followed the Rust Valley's east, guided by the dying coordinates of maps Haven had stored. They passed through husks of drowned cities, towers leaning like rotten teeth. They scavenged batteries, wires, and scraps of food left behind by wanderers. Sometimes they found corpses curled around dry wells, lips cracked open as if still begging the sky for rain. Elias often dreamed of the old oceans, though he had never seen them himself. His grandmother had told him bedtime stories of tides and waves, of children splashing and gulls wheeling overhead. To Elias, it was mythology, no more real than dragons. But sometimes, when the wind howled across the desert, he swore he could hear the ghost of surf, endless and hollow. One night, as they camped in the shell of a toppled freighter, Elias stared at Haven's silhouette against the stars. "Why do you stay with me?" he asked. The machine whirred softly. Directive unknown. Subroutine degraded. Closest approximation, companionship. Elias smiled faintly. "You mean you're lonely, too?" "Affirmative." The fire burned low. Elias thought about rust, about survival, about the thin line between man and machine when both were just trying not to be forgotten. The final oasis. Months later, after storms and starvation, they reached it. A crater vast as a city, ringed with jagged cliffs. At its center lay a gleaming dome, half buried but intact, shimmering like glass under the sun. Pipes stretched from its core, leading deep underground. The Oasis Project. Elias breathed. He remembered whispers of it. An experimental facility built before the world went dry, designed to store and recycle water beneath sealed vaults. Haven scanned. Core integrity, 79%. Water reserves, significant. Elias's throat tightened. After years of wandering, after almost dying 100 times, they had found it. But of course, they weren't alone. As they descended into the crater, figures emerged from the wreckage. A whole band of survivors. Thin, ragged, eyes burning with suspicion. Weapons raised, they circled Elias and Haven. The leader stepped forward, a woman with scarred cheeks and iron nails. "The oasis is ours," she said coldly. "Leave, or we'll strip your machine for parts." Haven's single eye glowed brighter, a faint hum rising in its chest. Elias placed a hand against its leg. "No," Elias said, his voice hoarse but firm. "You've been guarding this place for years, haven't you? And yet you're still thirsty. That means you can't open it. You don't have a machine." The scarred woman sneered. "And you do." Elias looked up at Haven. "We do, but we won't hoard it. Not anymore. If this place can still run, then it has to be for everyone." The woman's eyes narrowed. For a moment, Elias thought she would order them killed. But desperation makes people gamble. Finally, she lowered her blade. "Prove it," she hissed. Rusted dreams. Flowing water. Together they breached the dome. Haven tore aside corroded doors, its massive hands steady despite decay. Inside, the air was cool, humming with ancient machinery. At the center lay the reservoir, vast, shimmering, filled with water, so clear it made Elias's eyes sting just to look at it. He knelt at the edge, cupped his hands, and drank. The water was cold, pure, alive. For the first time in years, he felt human again. Behind him, the scarred woman gasped. Her people fell to their knees, scooping water into their mouths, laughing and weeping. Elias turned to Haven, who stood silent and still, blue eye reflecting the reservoir. "We found it," Elias whispered. "You kept me alive long enough to see this." "Affirmative," Haven replied. Its voice crackled, weaker than before. Directive complete. Elias froze. "What do you mean?" The machine's gears groaned. Its frame sagged as if a great weight pressed it down. "Power reserves, critical. Rust decay, irreversible. Functionality, ending." "No," Elias said fiercely. He ran to the machine, pounding on its chest plate like he had the day they first met. "You don't get to stop now. You hear me? We made it." Haven's eye flickered. Statement. Companionship achieved. Gratitude protocol satisfied. And then, with a final whir, the light went out, ending man and memory. Elias sat by the reservoir for hours, maybe days. The others drank, laughed, and began repairing the dome, but he could only sit beside the rusted hulk of Haven, tracing his fingers across its cold metal. The machine was gone, but its dream remained. The oasis grew, slowly becoming a haven for travelers across the wasteland. People came with cracked lips and broken spirits, and they left alive. They told stories of the man who opened the dome, and of the rusted war machine that carried him across deserts until it gave its last strength. Elias often walked to the dome's edge, where Haven's body still rested, overlooking the water. He never buried it, never dismantled it. The machine had carried him this far. It deserved to watch over the dream it had made real. Sometimes, when the wind howled through the crater, Elias swore he could hear its voice again, rasping through broken speakers. Companionship. Affirmative. And though the world was still waterless, though rust still devoured the bones of civilization, in this one place, this oasis carved from wreckage, man and machine had survived. Together,